phone back says it's not quite 9:30, but Verizon says it's 9:30, so I guess that means it's 9:30. I'll move along that way. First off, thank everybody being here today. I know we missed last week. I know, as Andrew said, it was kind of ironic that it was on local government week, but we had a lot of things going on. We want to talk about some of those. One of those I want to update right before last Monday. On Friday, I went on a work day with inspections. Had a great day with Michael Smith. So we had a great time going out and seeing several things. It's amazing how many job sites there are, constructions, new starts. There were a couple of remodels, but a lot of new construction starts, which is good things to see in the city. One of the things that I do think is important about inspections, beginning November 1, we will be going to an automated online system. It's one of the things we've been looking to do, implement the same thing that I think Tim Tolbert brought to the county. I think it was a very good thing for everyone involved. Makes it easier to schedule appointments, know when your appointment's going to be doing. It's much more than trying to keep up with it manually, letting an automated system take that over. We purchased or made the agreement to do the purchase back in May. It's taken us 6 months to get everything up and running. Again, all of our inspectors will have iPads, and they'll be able to go out and do their inspections and keep everything via computer. So I think it will be a much better automated system. That begins November 1st. And so I think hopefully that should help speed up some things in inspections. As we continue to work through it, we are looking for more inspectors. Obviously, there are challenges, and certainly when the market is this good, it's a lot more difficult to find people who probably could do a better job, make a better living in the private sector than they could in what we can pay in the public sector. But again, we are certainly working on that to continue to be updated. I think they do a great job, and it's a good problem to have. It's one of those things. It's good to have so many things going on right now, and that's certainly going to help tax base and everything else. So that's a good thing. We went to Tallahassee and had a very good trip to Tallahassee. And then last week I was in Washington. First, I was very honored to join 33 other local leaders from across the country in partnership with the National League of Cities. That's looking to form a 2020 presidential election task force. During this election cycle, it was bipartisan. There were Republican and Democrat, and certainly to an extent nonpartisan mayors like myself, who are here looking for solutions for cities, towns, and villages that they would like to put together on the national election stage, sort of a platform that we would love all the candidates to look at. Local infrastructure, dealing with workforce training, dealing with gun violence. These are things that aren't Democrat or Republican. They are simply things that make cities work. And they're one of the things I think that makes cities so great is it's pretty much the last place in American government where we do find all sides working together. It's kind of what I said. These are purple solutions. It's what we need to focus on as we talk to all the candidates from both parties involved, hoping to get them to see what's going on in cities. So I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this task force. I really also kind of ties into last week. I went to the thing with Mayor Bloomberg, who was here. Appreciate Jerry Pate and Quinn Studer bringing him here as a part of the Boy Scout event. And it was great to see him and just listen to him. I did communicate with him and been looking forward to hopefully getting him together with giving us a contact for the City of Pensacola for his foundation that does local government work. So again, I thought it was good to make that connection and seeing what we can do. But some of the things he spoke to were just the very same things that we talked about. How do you find solutions in an ever more difficult and spreading toward the ends rather than running into the middle world, the political world, and certainly what he thought was the importance of local government, which I do too. I think this is the most important form of government, and it's often sometimes the most overlooked, but it really does get things done, and every day we depend on things to happen here at the local level for us to get things done. So it was good. I enjoyed being with him, and it sort of fed into what we were doing there. Then afterwards, I think we had a chance to meet on Friday with some of the executive departments. We also met with some legislative, some representatives from across the state of Florida. Chris Chris was late getting there because of his flight on Tuesday. The American pilots didn't seem to want to land in D.C., but he got there eventually. But we did have several meetings on Friday that were good as well, and we also had a good meeting with EPA. And we talked about things like the American Creosote Works as we're beginning to finalize there. We also talked to them about opportunities to partner with Schenectady County is looking to do restore projects like Hollis T. Williams and Carpenter's Creek. We'd love to find ways to partner and leverage some of those dollars for federal grants as well. Overall, had a real good meeting and felt very good about that. So again, those were some of the things we did over the last couple of weeks. For this week, we do have a reminder that we will have a town hall meeting with Councilman Jared Moore. It is tomorrow, Tuesday the 29th at 6:30 at the Victory Resource Center located at 2130 Summit Boulevard. This is a great opportunity for residents to ask questions and provide comments regarding District 4, which is pretty much the Cordova Park, East Hill, and East Pensacola Heights. So if you live in those areas, I live in that area, so this will be good for me. I look forward to hearing from my council member. So we'll be there. Hopefully you'll join us at the Victory Center tomorrow night. It should be a good one. And then I didn't see Lauren. I think I saw some things on my calendar that were on holds with Ann Hill, trying to get one set up with Ann in November. So those will be where we are. Reminder, this Friday, November 1 is the deadline to complete an online survey being conducted by the Pensacola International Airport. The 5-question survey will help determine where travelers would visit for leisure if they had a nonstop service to their preferred destination. The data collected will be shared with existing airlines servicing our airport, as well as any potential new carriers interested in providing service to our airport. So if we are not currently serving, we are serving 22 cities direct, but if we're not serving the city that you're going to, please go there, help us find where that is, and let us know on the survey. So again, that would be very helpful for us. Finally, obviously, a couple things. One is I look forward to getting Chief Leiter back. Certainly our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the family from Brenda's passing and the service this past Friday. So I think seeing Acting Chief Mallet earlier, I was told that Tommy Leiter, Chief Leiter, will be back with us this week, and so it'd be good to get him back here as well. But also, I guess, to address those things that happened on Friday, I'd just like to thank the family of Tamar Crawford and the entire community for their patience that they've waited for this investigation to be completed. We understand it's been a difficult process for everyone, and we are hopeful that we can continue to come together as a community and move our community forward. I want to emphasize that I support the Pensacola Police Department and their decision to terminate the officer who shot Tamar Crawford. This incident is not reflective of the police department and PPD's values, training, and policies. By terminating the police officer, PPD did everything within their authority to make it clear that this incident does not reflect the values of the Pensacola Police Department. And from there, I will open it up to questions.
The grand jury report made several recommendations for the city. Are you going to adopt all those recommendations?
I'll be happy to let Mike address those. I know they are just in the process of evaluating those. So, Mike, if you want to come up here.
Well, there were several recommendations that was made on Friday. The chief and his staff have not had a chance to look over all of them yet. But I can tell you that if there are anything, or is a recommendation there that Chief Leiter and the police department believe that we can use, we will certainly do that.
I would like to say one thing, Jim. One of those things we've already talked about that we were looking to do an advisory committee, citizen advisory committee. So I believe we will be doing that. Mike, you might be walking up and down, but I'll let you sit there. I did see that as one of the recommendations. Those are things we're already looking at, and we've. I see Lawrence Powell in the room. I know he is looking to do an advisory committee for all things for the city and putting one together that would include law enforcement in there. So I know we're in the process of looking at doing that. I know And so we are efforting to make that happen. I know Lawrence is working on that as we speak.
So the Social Justice Group Dream Defenders has been really active with this case, and I know they have a protest scheduled for tonight in downtown Pensacola. Any concerns about trouble that could cause?
I'm certainly not concerned, but I'll be happy for the police to.
We certainly respect their First Amendment rights to gather, to protest, to have their voices heard, and we have no issue with that. We will be there to protect them as well as anybody else, but have to make it clear that we will tolerate no violence and no property damage. But anything besides that, we're certainly behind them, and have no problem with them getting their voices heard.
The first recommendation by the grand jury was to immediately retrain all officers on the use of deadly force and use of force policies. Given that Detective Stephen was fired for violating both of those policies, is that a first step that you plan on taking?
Well, let me say first of all that the training that our officers have is very good. It was just accredited. I don't believe training was an issue in this incident. We have officers that have to go hands-on with people all the time. It happens very often. They have their guns out of their holsters. They have tasers. They have to go hands-on during fights several times, almost daily, one of those three. So if you take those numbers and you look at how many times there's been a discharge of a weapon, it shows that our training is good. What we had here was a good officer that made a bad split-second decision and nothing more. But to go into your question, if we can get more training, we certainly want to do that. All police departments want to do that. Training evolves, and we will too. We will take anything we can get with training.
Will there be a look at mandatory carry of tasers and expansion of the body cameras to include plainclothes detectives?
Well, that's a question that's going to have to be answered by the administration. Again, once they look over these recommendations, if that's something that they need to change, I'm sure they will.
It seemed like I read something that said the officer really reacted when his taser was taken from him, or was it a gun? Was it an actual gun or taser?
It was a taser.
Now, what does a taser do when you shoot with a taser? Does that disarm the person?
A taser will do two things. It's in one form, it has probes. It will shoot up to 21 feet. When those probes hit the body, it will fall and incapacitate the person. But if you take that cartridge off and you do what's called a contact stun to the body, it's more pain compliance. So,
is it deadly?
No, it is not.
So why would the officer shoot with his gun if he said a taser was taken from him?
Well, again, it was a use of deadly force policy violation, and that's why the officer was terminated.
Okay.
I would just like to say there were 3 other individuals there who did not. I mean, they complied with everything. So within what's there, I do believe we're certainly training, and we continue to do that. But I think that needs to be reflected as well.
Can you talk? One of the recommendations was to, have all officers carry tasers. Can you talk a minute about, PPD's current policy to leave that optional up to the officer, and also was Officer Simmons, was that standard for him not to carry a taser, or was this just that day?
No, they are. He's a narcotics officer, and it's not. The narcotics officers generally don't. The other officers. Currently, it's up to them. The patrol officers are highly encouraged, and most of them do. But those officers that day were not required to have those.
Why is that not a required thing? Why would that option not be a required?
Well, there's several less lethal options that we have, whether it's pepper spray, a baton, a taser. It's what the officer is comfortable with. But again, most of them do carry tasers.
Do all officers receive training on tasers?
Yes, everybody receives training.
A minute ago, you called it a fast split-second decision. He fired a number of shots in that split second, which, to the layman seems excessive. Can you speak to that a minute?
I can't speak to what the officer was thinking now.
Is that normal?
Is what normal?
I mean, what was it, 5 shots or
7.
7?
Mhm.
I mean, for an unarmed person.
The officers are trained to to fire until the threat is stopped. And that's a question that I would have to speculate on, and I'm not going to do that.
Mayor, have you seen the video?
I have seen the video. I saw it Friday.
What was your reaction to it?
Again, I think after seeing the video, I think Pensacola Police Department did everything, the right thing, in the termination of the officer involved.
Is the officer appealing his termination?
Yes.
How does that work?
He's going to file it's a grievance. There's a process there, and the grievance will be heard, and then it will be decided whether he gets his job back, I believe.
Who makes that decision?
It'll ultimately be up to the chief and possibly the city. I'm not exactly sure how that works at that level. Fortunately, I've never had to be there, so I don't know.
Mayor, what are your thoughts on the grand jury's decision not to charge?
And I respect the process and decisions. The city did not have any control over that. The only thing we control is our own internal investigation. Those are things that we don't control that process.
What's the city's position legally going forward? You know, if any, I'm assuming the family is going to contact you on a legal sense.
Then we have attorneys in the back of the room. They'll handle the case.
Have y'all been in any more contact with them? With Tamar Crawford's family?
I guess.
Tamara Crawford's family is represented by attorneys, and they will have to decide whether or not they're going to bring any particular lawsuit against the city. Right now, the only lawsuit that's pending against the city concerned the public records request and the video that has been released to Mr. Zarzar at this time, and so we are communicating with him as to whether or not he's going to go ahead and dismiss that lawsuit as being moot at this point because he does have the video.
Have you communicated with him in regards to any other, lawsuits that might be wrong?
No, we have not had a discussion with him. He has not indicated whether he's bringing any other lawsuit at this time.
The family's attorney on Friday held a press conference, and in that press conference they said the officer was terminated in 2014 and had a picture of a document where he wasn't terminated but he resigned during training. That document did not turn up in our public records request of his personnel file. Is there a reason for that?
I have no idea why it wouldn't be there. I can tell you that he was not terminated. That verbiage was incorrect. There was some report writing issues, and he couldn't overcome those, and eventually came back, was rehired, and got that taken care of. So he resigned on his own.
Mayor, how many calls and emails have you received from citizens since this decision has come out?
0.
The grand jury report mentioned that the officers involved and other individuals saw the video before the grand jury testimony. Is that standard practice, and does that?
The videos from the body cameras and the cruisers are synced together. When the officer pulls onto the parking lot, that information is uploaded automatically into the building, into servers. That video, any video, can be seen by officers until it's locked down. And as soon as all the video was uploaded, it was eventually locked down, and no one could see it without proper access. So that's what was going on there.
In the interviews with FDLE, it seemed that each officer had a chance to review video that was from his point of view. Is that a standard?
I'm not familiar. I don't know if each officer saw that or not. If so, during an internal investigation, it is. They have a right to see the evidence against them.
But that'd be IA, not FDLE.
That's correct.
After all of this and following the grand jury, what's the mood, I guess, within this department?
I can tell you that no officer wants to go through what Daniel Seaman's going through. None of us ever want to discharge our weapons. Most of us fortunately go through our careers without ever having to do that one time. So the officers, they feel for Detective Seaman. We do too. But you have to understand that we have policies and procedures, and they're there for a reason. And one as serious as an improper use of deadly force is very serious, and it had to be dealt with.
What's the feeling insofar as the ramifications this has with the department's relationship with the community?
I think the community trusts us. They have. I think they will continue to do that. I think they just saw that we will take care of what we need to take care of. The officer violated a serious policy and he was terminated. I think that speaks volumes. I believe the community feels the same.
I would also like to, it's not just the police department, but again, that's one of the reasons we have a neighborhoods department, and our goal is to use that department to establish better relationships across the board. And certainly we expect that to happen with the police department. We think there are several things, including more bike patrols, other things we can do that we've heard out of this, that we can continue to look at finding ways to improve relationships between the police and those neighborhoods that they're engaged in, a more consistent presence and dialogue, and working on things that are not simply in a negative situation or in a positive situation. I know the Pensacola Police Department, I appreciate they go out too. I've seen them at our community centers, Woodland Heights, Woodland Heights, some of the other centers we've been to as well. So again, we will continue to do that and look for ways to be positively engaged with the community and improving that relationship. We have no doubt that this created challenges for us, but we certainly believe that we are going to work as diligently as we can to improve those relationships in all our neighborhoods.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
the officer just made a statement about the community feels good or feels, I don't exactly follow what he just said, but I'll say this. There are some very good police officers, no question about that. But as far as the black community trusting the police, that's not happening. And then when something like this happens, it just further exacerbates the distrust that the black community has. Now, maybe the white community may be fine, but I'm speaking on behalf of what I know as a media person, as a black person. We're not satisfied with it at all, because I think it said the officer fired 5 shots, shot him 5 times. I mean, come on. How much? I mean, damn, 5 times, up close. I mean that, and the other officers just stood there. They didn't even make an attempt to do anything like fighting. I don't understand that part. That's the part I don't understand.
Well, Mr. Leroy, like I said before, I agree. I think this event does strain relationships, and it's going to be upon us to improve things. My issue coming before here was simply to say that we have every commitment to working through our neighborhoods association and working with the police as far as other city services to establish better relationships. So we understand that. So that's what we're going to be focused on. So I want you to know from my standpoint, it's just like having these Monday morning press conferences. I mean, our goal is to be engaged and establish as good a relationship as we can with anybody. We certainly understand incidents happen that challenge that relationship, but we're going to be here focused on how we can improve it.
Well, I can appreciate that, Mr. Mayor, because simply I know for a fact that there are some very good police officers. Some of them have become my friends. But when something like this happens, man, it creates a lot of work got to be done in order to get the black community to feel like, well, everything's going to be fine, because everything's going to be fine. But in our community, 5 times up close, that hurts. That's painful. That's very, very painful. So I just hope that we can find a way to maybe Mr. Powell, he might be able to come forward with something, but if the truth be told, the black community is upset. You can't gauge it by the number of people that's going to show up at that demonstration or protest. A lot of the people who are disenchanted and who are upset, they probably won't say anything. They'll just go to their job. But swarming around in the black community, that's a real painful thing to know that it took 5 shots to disarm this guy. I mean, that's.
Well,
like I said, I don't wanna just hop on that, but that's what the black community is really upset about. The number of shots that were fired into that man's body to disarm him or to do whatever they said they were gonna do.
Well, I think when you talk about relationships, one today is not going to simply make the relationship better. The issue is that takes time. Relationships take time, and it takes consistent investment from us over time, and we're going to continue to do that. We've been trying to do that, and we're going to continue to make that happen. As far as anything else, I would simply say there were 3 officers there that did handle everything as they were supposed to handle it and as they moved forward, and it was unfortunate on that, but that's one of the things that we will keep working to work through and build upon and try to improve that relationship. So we're looking at ways going forward. We certainly understand this has been a challenge, but we're looking for ways that we can move things forward.
Officer Whip, I think one thing that is confusing some people is why the officer wasn't indicted after when the police department went ahead and fired him. So can you talk a little bit about those differences?
We don't control that process. That is, again, the City of Pensacola does not control the FDLE process or anything dealing with the grand jury. We've tried to be very respectful. We've asked during that process that we be very respectful. We don't control those. The only thing we control is our internal policy, and that's the only thing we control.
I wish you would have waited until that
No.
decision. Okay.
We don't like what we saw either. We don't like what happened. The Pensacola Police Department and the City of Pensacola did all they could. They did what was right by terminating the officer.
I guess, could you speak on, since while the grand jury and FDLE investigation was going on, the actual internal affairs report, the details of it wasn't public. I guess what specifically about the incidences violated the use of force policy? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, one was, let me back up. The officer, or the chief of police and the interim chief, Mallet, are going to make themselves available to go into the video in detail, and you will be notified, all of you will be notified about that, and they're going to answer those questions. So if I could just defer to them, they would like to answer that.
Not to, harp on this uncomfortable map of the number of shots fired, but I believe you said it was 7. What kind of service weapon do officers carry, and what's the capacity?
It's a Glock. The capacity is 15 rounds.
+1, right?
Yes.
+1 chamber is 16, what is 16?
Yeah, I think that's right. That's right.
All right.
Could you talk maybe a little bit about tonight? You did mention briefly, but what role does PPD have there, given that it's the agency, a lot of people there are protesting?
Well, that's okay. We're gonna play the role we play in every demonstration, every gathering, and every parade. We're gonna be there for the people. We're gonna be there for anybody that needs us.
Do you plan on attending there?
I will not be there.
Are there any other agencies that are being asked to also provide support or be on call?
No.
All right. Thank you.